Man, I love that new intro. And it's homemade. Thank you, Kenzie and Logan. And welcome back, you bunch of BFODers. Welcome back to Barrel Full of Daryl. Now on episode 44. You guys ready for some music, movies, and some other funky ass shit? Well, let's get on it then. Well, here's a quote for you. Here's a song lyric. See if you can guess the song and the artist. In the time of chimpanzees, I was a monkey. In the time of chimpanzees, I was a monkey. You have to forgive my voice. I'm on about day 5 of a head cold. Let's talk about music. Let me give you some hints about the artist I'm going to discuss. Let's see if you can guess who it is. Before I say his name, born in Pascagoula, Mississippi. He was raised in Mobile and Fairhope, Alabama. By the way, all of those cities are about 1 hour south of Scratch Ankle, in case you're wondering. He flunked out of Auburn University. He busked in New Orleans, Louisiana. His music has a tropical rock sound, and he leads a lifestyle of island escapism. And his first hit song was titled Come Monday. And in 1975, he opened for the Eagles. And he's got a backing band called the Coral Reefer Band. Certainly you know who it is by now. Yep, you guessed it. Jimmy Buffett. He calls his music drunken Caribbean rock and roll. And he says it is pure escapism. Also, his music has been called Gulf and Western, kind of a takeoff on country and Western. Now, he has released many ballads, but the majority of them are fun and whimsical. The Associated Press describes his sound as a special Gulf Coast blend of country, pop, folk, and rock. Now, he was active from 1961 to 2023. Very prolific, 23 studio albums, 14 live albums, and 67 singles, and sold over 20 million records worldwide. And these are his Big 8 songs. They call them the Big 8. Margaritaville, Come Monday, Fens, Volcano, A Pirate Looks at 40, Cheeseburger in Paradise, Why Don't We Get Drunk, and Changes in Attitudes. Now, he also wrote a song for the soundtrack of the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And the song is called I Don't Know, and parenthetically, Spicoli's theme. Now, his fans are known as Parrot Heads. Yeah, I've been kind of a lifelong Parrot Head myself. I think I saw him in concert twice. But he also is an author. He wrote and published 3 books, 2 fiction and 1 nonfiction. and all three hit the New York Times bestseller list. Now, he also co-wrote 2 children's books with his daughter Savannah. He also made numerous cameo appearances, both in movies and on television shows. And he's opened and operated Margaritaville-themed restaurants and hotels, including a casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I'm thinking he had a Margaritaville hotel on Pensacola Beach. Maybe Megan can verify that for me. I never went in it, but I do recall seeing it. Now, he also did a lot of charity work, such as Save the Manatee and also hurricane relief. He was also a pilot, and he used his seaplane to deliver tents and other supplies to victims of the Haiti earthquake and Hurricane Irma. Now, sadly, in 2019, he was diagnosed with Merkel cell carcinoma, a rare and aggressive skin cancer. But he kept this hidden until his death in 2023. He kept rocking on until he died. And this is pretty cool. A species of crustacean discovered in 2023 was named after him. And this is the name of the crustacean, Nathia Jimmy Buffetti. Nathia Jimmy Buffetti. I like that. In 2024, the Florida legislature declared August 31st to be Jimmy Buffett Day, and they renamed the state road A1A as the Jimmy Buffett Memorial Highway. And in 2024, he was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, he and his music really had a big impact on me, as well as the rest of the world. And it's really tough to pick a handful of his songs for the playlist, but I have managed, and hope you like them. I suggest you start your own Jimmy Buffett playlist on your favorite music service. Now, I got a buddy, an engineering friend, and a close friend, Alan, and way back decades ago, let me say that Jimmy Buffett has a 4 CD box set, and it's awesome. Boats, beaches, ballads, and bars. 4 CDs. And my buddy Alan made me a cassette tape of each of those CDs. And I think I wore them out. And I used to tell my friends, if there's a Jimmy Buffett song that you don't like, you just haven't heard it enough. And I stick to that to this day. So, rest in peace, Jimmy. You brought a lot of happiness to this world. Great songs, great man. And now a word from our sponsor. I'll be right back. Hi again, y'all. This is Randall Snooch, the on-scene reporter for WMOO in Monroeville, Alabama. I gotta tell you that I barely survived that scratch ankle Christmas parade last week. My cameraman, Jeb, was trying to get some close-up shots of the parade, but Ernest T. Bass was skunk drunk and swerved and run over him. He ended up with a broken leg and a cracked pelvis, and he's still at the Monroeville Hospital recuperating. Now, I had some of the barbecue squirrel legs and the hooch from the flea market. Well, the squirrel legs gave me the squirts. Squirrel squirts. And the hooch left me blind for 2 days. But we got some really good footage, and my producer was very happy about it. He said he'd give me a raise, but I had to promise to keep going back to the annual Christmas parade at Scratch Ankle. I don't know, but I reckon I will. Bye for now, and y'all join me down there if you can. And we're back. A movie. Lisa and I watched a pretty damn good movie on Netflix a couple of days ago. It's called Leave the World Behind. Now, it's an apocalyptic psychological thriller film released in 2023 and based on the novel of the same name written by Ruman Alam. And the movie was directed by Sam Esmail. Now, it stars Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke, and Kevin Bacon. The setting is Long Island, New York, where Julia has arranged an impromptu weekend getaway at a vacation rental house with her husband Ethan and their 2 kids. Well, they show up, they get unpacked, and they're loving this gorgeous house that they've rented. Everything's going fine until they take a trip to the beach. As they're at the beach playing and sunning and getting a tan and running around and, having a good time, well, they notice an oil tanker off in the distance. Now, as they keep looking back at the tanker, it appears to be getting closer and closer. And in fact, it is, until it actually runs itself up onto the beach. Of course, panic has ensued and everybody's running away and screaming. And it was pretty cool the way they did that. Now, when they return to the house, the TV and internet are not working, and a few deer are watching them from a distance. Now, later that night, the owner of the rental house and his daughter show up, knocking on the door late at night, and they are seeking shelter in his house. He explains that a blackout has occurred, and caused them to return to the house because they can't get back to the city. A lot of traffic jams. Now, Julia is reluctant, but they end up letting them stay the night. Now, the next morning, Julia wakes up and notices 4 alerts on her phone. The first 2 are emergency notifications about a blackout affecting the East Coast. And the third notification mentions that hackers have caused the blackout. And the fourth one says breaking, big capital letters, breaking. But the rest of the text is in a foreign language. Now she tries to show this to her husband, Ethan, but by the time she hands him the phone, the messages have disappeared. Meanwhile, the daughter is downstairs having breakfast, and she looks out and notices a large herd of deer watching her. Yeah, the deer are kind of a recurrent theme in this movie. Now, Ethan decides to drive into town to get more information about the blackout and whatever the hell's going on. But without GPS, he gets lost. So he's driving around. All of a sudden, he sees a drone coming toward him, dropping some sort of residue behind it. And he freaks out. So he turns around, he hauls ass back the other way. And this red cloud behind the drone turns out to be leaflets, red leaflets. And they contain a symbol which means death to America, and more foreign language text. Now, meanwhile, the homeowner drives to his neighbor's house, which appears to have been looted. He finds a satellite phone, but is unable to connect because satellites are all down. Very odd. So he takes a walk to the beach nearby, and he finds a man's arm laying on the sand. He looks around and realizes he is standing in the middle of airplane wreckage. Just then, another plane from far off starts flying toward him, and he turns and runs. He gets back into the house and barely avoids being hit by the plane as it crashes. So he returns to his house and begins to tell Julia about the satellites being out. But his conversation is interrupted by a loud, ear-piercing, shrill noise that brings them all to their knees. So Ethan eventually makes it back to the house after being lost for a long time. And he and Julia decide to leave to drive to her sister's house in New Jersey. The next scene's pretty cool. They're going down the expressway, and it is jammed with wrecked, brand new, self-driving Tesla cars. What the fuck? So they turn around to head back, and more Tesla cars keep coming at them, and they have to dodge them. And the Teslas just continue to collide into the other wrecked Teslas. Yeah, they're having a lot of fun. So the next morning they wake up, and Julia's son, teenager, his teeth began to inexplicably fall out, and he begins vomiting. I mean, he touches his teeth and they start falling out. Weird. So she gets hysterical and demands that they drive him to a hospital, which is impossible. However, the homeowner and Ethan drive the son to Kevin Bacon's house because he is a survivalist and is likely to have medicine and other supplies. When they arrive at Kevin's house, he's not very welcoming. Walks out onto his porch with a shotgun and says, "You guys need to go back, get in your car, and leave." They're begging him, "We just need medicine for my son. He's sick. His teeth are falling out. He's throwing up. We need anything you've got to help us." And he continues to refuse to help them. He's got to look out after his own because he's very informed. He's a survivalist, okay? But eventually he relents and gives them some pills for the sick son. But he also tells them that the shrill noises are likely from microwave weapons that contain radiation. So I kind of hate to, but I'm going to stop here and let you enjoy this movie for yourselves. Like I said, it's streaming. If you subscribe to Netflix, please watch it. There are a lot of scenes, a lot of what the fuck scenes, and the tension builds at a slow burn rate. It's a great story, and it's my kind of movie, and there's great acting, and I highly recommend it. So check it out on Netflix. Leave the World Behind. Word of the week: innervate. Enervate. Innervate. And it means to weaken or be drained of energy, which is basically what this head cold has done for me for 5 days. Now, this word is not to be confused with one that kind of looks like it and sounds like it, but it's spelled Innervate. It's pronounced enervate with stress on the second syllable. Innervate means to stimulate or excite, which is quite the opposite of innervate. Pretty cool words, innervate and innervate. Innervate. Kind of hard to say them differently. Joke of the week. What do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back? A stick. I think that's like 2 jokes in a row where the answer was a stick. What's brown and sticky? A stick. That reminds me, when I was in college at Auburn University, I had a small studio apartment, small and cheap, but it fit the bill. And I happened to notice there was a mouse that somehow got in there. And I noticed that he had been nibbling on like the baseboards and the carpet, doing a little bit of damage. And I'm like, okay. I go and get a mousetrap. I come back home and I break open the package of the mousetrap and I get it all ready. And then I think, shit, I didn't stop and get cheese. Yeah. So I started, I said, okay, I'll go get it in a minute. And I started leafing through this magazine I had there. And I found a picture of cheese, a beautiful picture of a block of cheddar cheese. I thought, aha. I cut out this picture of cheese and I put it on the mousetrap and I set it. So later that night, while I'm asleep, I hear the mousetrap get boom. Mousetrap goes off. And I just smile and go back to sleep. So the next morning I get up and I walk over and there's the mousetrap, and I'll be damned, I'd caught a picture of a mouse. True story. Question of the week. Last week I asked, do animals have feelings? Do they have emotions? And I mentioned that feelings are internal and emotions are external. We all know this. The answer is yes. The scientific consensus is that animals absolutely have feelings, emotions, and subjective experiences. And a broad range of researchers are now acknowledging that there is sentience across many species. Sentience is the ability to experience feelings and sensations. And the evidence comes from observed behavior like play, stress response, social bonds, complex brain activity, showing that they experience joy, fear, depression, and even grief, much like humans. Some cool shit. New question of the week. What is the deepest point on Earth? What is the deepest point on Earth? Damn, that's a good question. Thought of the week. No man ever steps into the same river twice. And that's by a Greek philosopher. I'm going to slay his name, but it's Heraclitus. Yeah. Heraclitus, in case you want to look it up for yourself. No man ever steps into the same river twice. What the hell does that mean? I'll leave that for you to think about. So do not forget about all the playlists I've got floating out there. They're a little bit everywhere. And a lot of good cultivated music on there that kind of a lifetime of listening, able to bring it to you. You may contact me by clicking on the send me a text button within the episode, or directly at bfodpodcast@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. By the way, don't forget, because I won't let you forget, that the podcast episodes have an option to support my show. Now, this is a feature where you can just send me, a couple of bucks a month, a subscription, and I can scrape those little dollars together and buy a candy bar or a gas station hot dog or something. If you do it, I appreciate it. If you don't do it, I still appreciate it, because I love having you guys listen to me. So that's it for this show. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed putting it together for you. And I certainly hope that you were entertained. Bye for now.